Hey, what's up, people? Those people joining. Instagram is doing its thing where it's inviting people and know that I just went live. Those of you who've been following the story, this is my first episode of Extraordinary People. Basically, I'm talking to people who other people might consider ordinary, but because I know them and I know their minds, I think they're extraordinary and they could actually give insight, even though they might not have the biggest platforms. And I'm giving them my platform to speak and give their opinions on something that's actually important and actually will make a difference in people's lives. So my first guest today is a clinical psychologist, and the topic is basically going to be around mental health. Something that's been very serious going on right now in this country, and I think it's something that needs to be spoken about. And you need to stop listening to the opinions of people like me, who are just artists and known for other things, but actually start talking to experts, which in particular, this situation is a clinical psychologist who I think by any means and any rights, people would say that they would be the expert in this field of mental health. A lot of us, I do a lot of research into it, and I do a lot of studying into it, and I do a lot of my own application in my own life that helps my mental health. But there's people who are actually educated in this field and dedicate themselves to this field. So I would love to hear their opinion and give them my platform to speak to my audience and be able to teach them a thing or two about this topic. She just joined in, so I'll just go live with her, do the whole connection thing. Oh, let's see her hand up.
Hi.
Hi, Nqobileh.
How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good.
Hi.
Thank
Would
you
you
so
like
much
to?
for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So, would you like to introduce yourself? Obviously, I know you and your partner, and you guys are awesome people, and I've gotten to get to know you. So, I'd love for my audience to know who you are and what do you do.
Great. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for popping in. I'm seeing a lot of people that I know personally. Thank you guys so much for coming through. I know that this was last minute, but thank you so much for being loyal. So yeah, my name is Nqobileh Mabaso. I am a clinical psychologist, and currently I'm training as a forensic practitioner as well. So yeah, basically I work for the government sector right now and at a hospital setting, and I'm basically doing clinical work, forensic work, pathology and assessments, and just like a whole lot of things. I don't know, do you want me to say anything specific?
No, that's perfect. As long as you introduce yourself and they know your background and your street credentials.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what's
what.
important. Yeah.
Okay.
So okay. With that said, um, I love to touch on the topic of today, which is mental health. And I know that you have a channel, a YouTube channel, and on your social media profiles, I've
Yeah.
seen that you talk about this quite a bit, and it seems to be something that obviously you knowledgeable about.
Yeah.
And I'd love to like get your perspective on what is mental health. Like, let's just start there, because a lot of people like it's like one of those nice words and nice terms that we like
Yeah.
using and throwing
Yeah.
around,
Yeah.
but we don't really might not know fully what it is. So, can you tell us what is mental health for you?
Sure. So, in the most basic layman's terms, this is what I always explain it as. To me, mental health is basically a state of well-being where you are aware of where you are emotionally, psychologically, and socially, and how all those things come into play in helping you deal with your day-to-day stresses in a way that does not hinder your productivity. So, in simple terms, that is how I prefer to explain mental health, because we
Okay.
can make it scientific and all of these other things, but it's just where you are, how you're doing, and how is that equipping you to deal with your daily stresses in a way that still allows you to be productive and so forth. I hope that makes sense.
Okay, that does make sense to me. So it's where you are, what you're doing, and and how does that help you with coping with your daily stresses? I think that's a nice linear way of like looking at it in terms of like straightforward application. And I think that's the main thing I want to have this discussion with, is like application. Like how do we get better? How do we diagnose like where we are? What are you doing, and how is that helping the situation? With that said, I want to start off something that's obviously relevant to what's going on right now. And I know you clued up on this, but I will just give a backstory about it. The whole the Justice for Lufuno hashtag Justice for Lufuno. So the story is, just in short, for those who don't know, I wouldn't know where you are if you don't know, but if you didn't know, it's actually quite like a sad story because it applies in so many situations. But in particular, this story is a young girl was bullied on camera by other girls, and in the school, then she decided to obviously take things further for herself and commit suicide. And this is a far too common story, and especially in my world, in my life. I've heard this not just once, but a couple of times, and it's very unfortunate when we hear these stories happening. And in that context, there was this hashtag and a whole outrage for justice for Lufuno, for the young girl. But what bothered me in the whole context of what is happening is that people weren't discussing what drove her to commit suicide beyond just the bullying. Because obviously everyone in some context at some point can say they've probably been bullied or felt bullied and have experienced being bullied and not necessarily ended up with the same results. And in this situation, this young girl, and I'm not saying that what she experienced is not worse than what most of us experience or what other people experience, but there is factors, I believe, that could have been mitigated or can be mitigated in terms of understanding and learning and teaching, that could prevent someone from being in that situation where they can drive or make the last resort of committing suicide or taking their own lives. So I felt the conversation wasn't discussing that, or wasn't addressing that issue, that particular issue of how do we stop future children from ending up there. Rather, we had a reactive response to the situation of being, okay, there's the bully. She's the bully. Now let's attack the bully. What are you doing about the bully? Let's go deal with the bullies. Like, we need justice. We need to put them in prison. We need like bigger repercussions for, and it's like this gunning for blood that I had an issue with. So I decided to say, I'd rather use my platform and discuss things with a clinical psychologist in the sense of like what drives someone or pushes them to commit suicide, and how do we fix that? What are the key drivers? I think that would be the first question in terms of this topic. What are the key drivers that drive someone to commit suicide? And then we can go from there.
Okay, so I am a very practical psychologist, and I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people who work with me find me quite different from a lot of psychologists, because I always ask myself three things whenever I am seeing a patient or whenever I am doing a video or whatever the case is. I always ask myself, what is the problem? Where did it start? And why is it manifesting the way that it's manifesting at that time? Because there's always various sides to a story. So we can speak about the bullying, and I can give you my own conclusion about that, which might not necessarily be the conclusion that most people have. And we can also speak about Ulifuno. So what was her problem? She was feeling overwhelmed. She was feeling as if there's something that she's going through right now that she does not see a way out from. So that is what causes suicide. It's being in a state or in your life, and I'm simplifying it as much as I can. It's being in a state in your life where you feel like I cannot find a way out from where I am. Drawing it and linking it back to my explanation of what mental health is. So if you remind yourself of that, you know, I say that mental health is where you are and how you're feeling and how all of those things impact how you deal with your daily stresses. So the suicidal ideation part of it sort of like interrupts that link of where I am, what am I going through, and how is that affecting how I'm dealing with my daily stresses. So she's in a dark space, or she was in a dark space, or she was in a space where she felt like she couldn't deal with anything, and she needed a way out. And unfortunately, with suicide, it's a permanent solution. So that's why you find that, you know, a person will have, we call it suicidal ideation thoughts prior to the act of suicide. And for some people will be like an instant sort of like, oh, I wasn't planning this, or, you know, type of vibe. But it's basically somebody looking for a way out from something. To simplify it as much as I can, it's somebody looking for a way out from something. And the first thing, or their first line of defense, or their first way of getting that way out is to just permanently cut the cord. So so that's why, for instance, in my profession, if I'm seeing someone and they disclose that they're suicidal at that time, we immediately book you in. We immediately book in as an involuntary patient, because we're trying to get in between that space of I can't cope and I need a way out. So we're trying to create like a gap or a level of coping between the I can't cope and I need a way out. So that's where the most important sort of like intervention would be. If you're seeing that somebody is not coping and they're constantly showing you signs of wanting a way out, then that's where we step in. That's where you be like, okay, what is the problem? You know, because sometimes if you're in and I'm sure that you can also think about this in your own personal life, because I can. Sometimes if we're in a rough time, or if we're going through a rough patch, all we see is that. Whatever you focus on is amplified. So to you might think that if I'm having financial stresses and I want to commit suicide, to you might be like, oh, but you know, you can reach out, you can do this, you can do that. But to me, because that's all I'm seeing, and there's obviously other factors that are affecting my lens of how I'm seeing my problem. To me, what to you might seem like this, to me might be like huge. You know what I'm trying to say? So that's where I feel we must gear most of our attention to, between that small gap of where I am and I need a way out.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right?
No, that makes complete sense. What you're saying makes so much sense, because it resonated to personal experiences that I've had.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, I don't really share this that much, but like I was in a period of my life where I did have suicidal thoughts, and I did feel exactly what you're saying. Like, it felt like at that time that was it. That was like the end of the world. Like, this is the most, like, I didn't see anything else. It was like almost tunnel vision of this problem. And the only solution I saw or thought was the solution was, if I take my own life, will that solve this whole thing? Will that like make people, because at that time I felt like other people's actions were causing so much pain, and they weren't aware that it was causing so much pain for me, that I felt like I need to show them like how much pain they're causing by taking my own life, so they can understand like the situation, you know. And it's gonna sound so twisted and so bad that even at that time I felt like, even if I'll make an attempt at my life, maybe not fulfill it, but at least show them that I'm this dead serious, that I'm willing to take my life. It was a cry for help, and that was like my mentality at that time. And to be honest, at that time, what saved me in my situation, and I can't speak for everyone's situation, and you tell me like what you come across, but my situation was a simple a phone call from my brother. He called me, and he just told me, like, he can tell something's wrong.
Yeah.
And just him telling me he can tell something's wrong and telling me it's gonna be okay. And yeah, it was a response. It let me know, okay, it's someone that can see my pain.
Yeah.
As much as I'm good at hiding it, or I thought I was hiding it, someone could see it, and that, like, pulled me back to say, hold on, wait. Maybe I don't need to be so drastic, you know, like, I don't need to be so dramatic about things. Maybe there's a way of dealing with it. And then I was able to, like, slowly back myself from that edge.
Yeah.
So, like, when you explain it the way you explain it is exactly like how I experienced it. I can vouch for my side. And with that said, like, what do you recommend as a normal person if you see someone is getting close to this edge? Like, obviously, you just said you book someone immediately. You go straight into booking them immediately, involuntarily. Like, unfortunately, the rest of us don't have that power or that ability. So what do we do as a friend or family member if you know someone is at the edge, or you can tell that someone is at the edge? What can you do as a person?
Yeah. One of the reasons why I always simplify mental health as much as I can and make it as practical as much as I can is because I want anybody who hears me to always remember what I say when they see it. So you'll be able to, so if you now know of someone who's going through a hard time, you know that I said, okay, this person is looking for a way out, and this person is giving a cry for help. So what did your brother do? They responded to your cry for help. Because in most cases, if somebody gets to a point of wanting to take their life, it's not always because they really, really want to die. Like, it's because, okay, I feel like I've tried so much. I feel like I've explored all of my options, and like nothing is working. So this is the solution that I'm going to resort to. Anything that everyone ever needs, and most people ever need at that point, is for somebody to respond to their cry for help. Literally. So if you can always just have that at the back of your mind, that if I see someone drifting away, if I see someone not behave like how they normally behave, if I see someone, you know, because we all have issues at the end of the day. We're just at different levels of the spectrum, or different things put us at different phases of the spectrum, but we all have issues. So if you're able to identify when somebody is not acting in a way that they would normally act, then respond to that cry for help. Send that message, make that phone call. I'm going to give you an example. There's a friend of mine, she's probably going to kill me, but there's a friend of mine who I haven't been able to get a hold of for a week and a half. So I haven't been able to get a hold of her on WhatsApp. I haven't been able to get a hold of her on Instagram. And when I call her, her phone wasn't being answered. So what do? I panic because I'm a psychologist, and I always think of the worst case scenario. And I call her mom, and I call her sisters, and I call her boyfriend, and I'm trying to track this person down. We're like, hey, what's up? What's happening? What are you doing? Like, why can't I get a hold of you? And she laughed at me because it was something as simple as her phone screen had ink on it, and that's why I couldn't get a hold of her. But she was perfectly fine, you know. But I recognized an abnormality in our relationship. I recognized the fact that I was speaking to this person almost every second day, and now all of a sudden I'm not getting your messages irritating me every morning. You're not calling me, or, you know, sending me or tagging me in memes every single day. So what does that mean? So I responded to what I, at that time, perceived as a cry for help. And sometimes it will be a cry for help, sometimes it won't. But even though in this particular case it wasn't a cry for help, but for her it was a thing of, oh my gosh, you actually saw me. You actually saw that I wasn't around. You saw that I wasn't present. You actually took some time out to think of me and see that, oh my gosh, something has changed in our relationship. And that's just where, for me, I feel we need to focus more our attention on that. You know what, there's everybody's going through something, but let's just always try and listen and see and
Yeah,
look and be more intentional about that more than anything. Be intentional about
definitely.
the checking in. Be intentional about the, oh my gosh, this person and I normally always talk on a Friday. Why
Yeah,
aren't you texting me this Friday? You know, let's be more intentional about how we relate to people and ourselves.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
definitely what you're saying makes a lot of sense, and again resonates with me
Yeah.
because um I can be honest as well. Like my side, I might not be great at that. I'm not great at keep, because I think as well for me, I've maybe overstretched myself, and I've been trying to do this thing of trying to like pull myself back a little
Yeah.
bit, in the sense that I've opened myself up to so many people to try and help as many people as possible,
Mm.
that those people close to me or closest to me in my circle, I'm not able to keep that track that you're saying of like, on,
Mm.
okay, I haven't spoken to you in a while,
Mm.
what's happening in your life, you know, that type of thing. And I think in my situation, I could definitely do better at picking up the phone and just, you know, checking in. Because I actually do sometimes do that, like where I wake up and like I haven't spoken to this person in months, and I see them on social media now and then, and it's like, and I can see that they're not okay, or something is like
Yeah.
a little bit off, but I
Mm.
don't think to actually call. And then
Mm.
like I'll just be like, okay, no, I have to call them today. And then life will get in the way sometimes and not even do the call, even though I told myself to do the call.
Yeah.
And it's like, um, it's something I can address, but in that same breath, I've learned at least not to beat myself up about it, because
So,
I'll
yeah.
never be perfect in terms of that. You know, like if 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 there's anything I can say from my perspective, uh, is that it helps, uh, just not causing harm.
Yeah.
Because the other thing I want to discuss is basically like, with that narrative, or that example that you gave of being on the edge and this person like being at this breaking point.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't take much to push them over. And this is another thing that we like, my partner has taught me, and actually said this to me, is like, always make sure that you're nice to people, no matter how much they irritate you, or no
Yeah.
matter how much they bother you,
Mm.
because you never know where they're at
You never
and what
know.
they're going through at the time.
Yeah.
And you could be that breaking point of push them over the edge. So
Yeah.
just by being mean, and when I'm saying mean, I don't mean like necessarily like, uh, going out of your way to go
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
to target someone and attack them, but in the sense of like, why are you bothering me? Like, leave me alone, or like, who the hell are you, type of thing. Like
Yeah.
that common response we have to people irritating you.
Yeah.
And I feel like if we, like, it's my idealistic belief, but I feel like if people just started considering other people's experiences versus their own, because we all have issues, um, maybe we won't be triggering forces to people
Sure.
to push them over the edge.
Yeah. And I think most importantly as well, because I like what you said about, you're not perfect, and you don't all wake up on the right side of the bed every single
Yeah,
day. Like even I do that. Um, I took some time off work today because I was at a place where I was feeling like my mental health was being disturbed and I need a mental health day. So
yeah,
I recognized the fact that there is something that I'm feeling that is hindering my productivity. I
yes,
recognized it, and I brought it to my conscious awareness, and I decided to take some time out. So I decided to take some time off and deal with it. So I'm giving this example to highlight the importance of awareness.
yeah,
On both sides, on the side of a person who is constantly, I don't know, on the side of a person who you might find irritating at that time, and on the side of the person who feels irritated by this person,
yeah,
because there's always two sides to something. Sometimes,
yes,
I know this with my brother. My brother's 10 years younger than me, and I find him so irritating at times. And, you know, this one day I was like, okay,
No, no, brother.
yeah. I was like, okay, let me just try and figure out where, like, why is he being irritating? Is it him that's being irritating, or is it me that is being irritated by him? You know, because it's not always the same as well. Sometimes it's something that you're going through that is making you respond in a particular way. That is not how you would normally respond if you are not going through what it is that you're going through. So that's why awareness is so important. And sometimes somebody would do something that would trigger something that you didn't know was an issue in you, and you find yourself lashing out or being irritated, and you don't know where that comes from. That's why you need to be aware of where you are, and always try and listen, or always try and figure out why that other person is irritating and why you are feeling irritated by them. It's a lot. It's hard. I don't get it right all the time, but as far as I possibly can, always try and say, okay, what is this? Where's this coming from? What is this? Sometimes somebody is irritating just because they haven't spent a lot of time with you, and they feel like, to get your attention, I just need to be a nag and be on your case, and, you know, try to, you know, let you know that, hey, I'm also here and I also want to spend time with you, whatever the case is. And sometimes you feel irritated by something because you're not spending time with yourself. You feel empty. You feel like, oh my gosh, I've been giving so much and you're not really receiving anything. So you'll be irritated by somebody who constantly wants to spend time with you, because you're realizing, or you're not consciously realizing, but because your unconscious is telling you that, listen, the reason why you're irritated by this person always wanting to spend time with you is because you're not spending time with yourself, you know? And that's why I simplify the meaning of mental health that much, and I make it that practical, so that people are aware that it's a daily thing of waking up and be like, okay, today I feel a bit tired. Where am I? I'm feeling a bit off. Is this gonna affect me throughout the day? Is this going to affect my work? Is this going to affect my patients throughout the day? Yeah, it might. So let me just take some time out today, and, you know, or let me go for a walk first and see if that helps me cool off, and then go about with my daily things. I hope that makes sense.
That makes so much sense, and it's so helpful. Like, it's such a practical way of dealing with it. And I love that, because it's something that people can do at home. Just being aware of yourself.
Listen to yourself. Listen to others. It's as simple as that. And it's a muscle that you constantly have to train. Like, you constantly have to teach yourself to listen.
And I love the fact that you also said you take that mental health day for yourself, like, because like I can be honest, like, with myself, like, I also reach periods where, like, I'm highly irritable, or days where I'm highly irritable, where I know, like, I am controlling myself, but it's taking a lot more effort today for me to control myself from reacting negatively. Yes. And you just want to, like, you know, sometimes you just want to, like, go off at people and say, like, why are you not considerate? Like, do you not think I have my own life and my own issues right now, and I need to deal with them? Yet you know, and it's like, if I can just take a day off, and I love how you deal with it, because that's something I'm just starting to learn, of the whole thing of just unplug yourself. Like, you need to just be able to walk away and say, okay, you know, today I'm not.
It's not happening.
So I need to be away from people. I need to be away from the world. Like, I just need to be away. Like, and I've learned for myself to just unplug from social media completely. Because sometimes when you go on Twitter and you see, like, what's trending, it just, like, eats away your spirit. And when you're highly irritable, you just want to give your 2 cents and just go at it. You know what I mean? And then someone's gonna instigate, and it just gets worse and worse and worse, and you just get into this a frenzy of, like, where you now in a bad place. And it's like, I've had to learn to teach myself to just say, you know what, stay away from social media. Like, take this day off, do the things that I like you said, take a walk, whatever it is on that day that just allows me to rest, you know, and just be in my own zone, you know, like exercise. There's things that I do that personally just make me feel better. And I just have to force myself to do those things because it's part of taking care of yourself. Like you said, it's a muscle you have to train. So I have to train that muscle and say, I need to teach myself, put on a podcast that's going to help me mentally. You know, it's going to help me learn something or make me understand my situation. And that's why, like, I'm having this discussion, because I've learned from, like, watching things like this, and these things have helped me a lot. So I want to be able to do that with my platform and allow my audience to learn that. So that I'm gonna answer some of the questions. I'm gonna ask you to answer some of the questions that people are posting. Don't stop asking questions. Don't worry, I'm gonna get back to them, and we'll go through all the questions at the end. I just have, like, one more thing to discuss on this topic, and then we can just go straight to the questions that people asked here. So with this whole Lufuno situation, I know that everybody is looking at this in a certain way, and I told you my concerns and why I didn't like it. The other thing that I want to look at is the psychology of a bully, because everyone's looking at the victim being, and this is what I saw in that video, and I know some people will eat me up for it, but I saw two victims. I saw the victim of the person who got hit, and in the videos, but even the person doing the hitting, I saw them as a victim in the sense of what's going on in her life that drives her to think that this is okay. This behavior was taught to her somewhere. It got into her somewhere. There's something going on that drives her to be so aggressive. And now she's going to be the new victim that everyone's targeting and bullying her. And that's not going to fix her situation. She might be pushed to a situation of, my only way out is suicide. And will people be happy then? Is that the justice they're looking for? For her to commit suicide too? You know, like, it doesn't solve the issue. So what is the psychology of a bully? Like, what, like, from your perspective or your knowledgeable background?
I'm so glad you asked that, because I love playing devil's advocates. Like, people that know me will tell you, like, I'm always up for a good devil's advocate role. And I assumed that with this case. I mean, I sympathize highly with Lufuno's family and friends, and, you know, like I stand with her. I stand with other victims of bullying, and, you know, we definitely need to do something about it as a society. But my problem with our country is that, or with our people, is that we're, like you said earlier, we're very reaction based. You know, we're very quick to react, and we only will respond to something if there is a certain reaction to it. So that's my problem with our people right now, and those are some of the things that I deal with a lot on my YouTube channel. I always take it back to, you remember I told you that whenever I deal with something, I'll ask myself, what is this? Where is it coming from, and why is it manifesting the way that it's manifesting at that particular time, and through this particular incident. So I asked myself with this case, Kalufuno, about these questions, and what you saw is what I saw. I also saw a victim. I also saw a child who was trying to prove a point, or who was trying to satisfy a part of themselves through justifying their actions as valid. Because I always tell people this, especially when it comes to children, that everyone actually, there's always a little girl or a little boy screaming in a dark hole behind every erratic behavior. Always, I don't care how old you are, there's always a little child behind that behavior who's screaming and who's crying out for help. So the psychology of a bully for me, which might not always necessarily be relatable to I'm sorry, I'm not aware of her name, the other girl's name, but for me, when I see a bully, I see somebody who, it's a control thing at the end of the day. Like, it's a power dynamic, you know. We're not really equipped as people to be able to understand where or how to exert power, and how to same thing with gender-based violence and all of these other things. For me, the underlying cause of it will always be a power dynamic and a control thing.
Yeah.
So what is it in that child that made her feel that at that particular moment, if I show control over this person or over this child who obviously was a victim in this case, who we can obviously see that, is not as I can't find the better word, as the other children. So this girl specifically chose this Ulufuno because of probably how she was presenting, or she was shy and stuff like that. So what is it that they are going through, or what is it that they have been going through that conditioned them in a way of saying that, okay, me exerting power in this person in this particular way is justifiable? Then that's where we take it back to the society and to the family system. And I'll speak about this a lot on my YouTube channel, that we are people, but we are part of people. You are not born alone, and you do not live alone. We are social beings. Our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors are highly, what's the word? My English is trying to fail me. Are highly influenced, highly influenced by the actual presence or the imagined presence of people in our lives. Because sometimes we do certain things and we're proving imaginary people in our heads right or wrong. So what is it in our society, or what are some of the things that we are teaching or that we are exposing our people to that make it seem okay to exert or to use power in a way that, in order for you to see that I have power over somebody or something, I need to, what's the word, Aewon? What's the word? I need to be above them, or something.
I need to prove myself. Like
my battery.
I don't know, the way I'm looking is, your battery low. Okay, so let me get into the before your battery dies. But what are you saying? Like it makes sense how you need to analyze it and how we need to look at it, because it is a power dynamic, and what's driven her to try seek that power and that validation from society, of because obviously she's looking for something in that whole, because the way I looked at it is she even the performance to a camera, the social media performance of it.
She's proving a point.
Yeah, exactly. It's and even if you looked at the whole how it played out, and I hated watching the video, but I watched the video to try and understand, and it's you can see that girl, to her.
Yeah,
I don't I've read the story of the background, that it was apparently they say she had stolen money from the other girl or something along those lines, and this was the reaction. But you look at this girl who came in there as the bully, as the perpetrator who assaulted Lufuno. She starts off by touching the other girl's faces, and I am coming in to protect you.
Yeah.
I am doing what I'm going to do for you.
Yeah.
And then she comes and says, look at what I can do by smacking this girl and putting it into place. Because this talking is not helping. I'm more powerful. And I know how to deal with this issue. And this is how we deal with this issue. Yeah. Is by using this force and power that I have.
Yeah.
And the whole performative nature of it just reminded me of even social media, how social media works.
100%.
How people want to jump in and attack people with this whole performance thing of look at me attacking this person in favor of protecting someone else. I'm attacking this person. I'm mean. Yes, I'm mean. Yes, I'm being ugly, but I'm doing it for the sake of this other person. Because this person has offended my friend, or the person I care about, or this group I care about.
So this is how I'm doing this.
Now I justify my bullying. Now I am justified in my attack. And it's crazy that when cancel culture, it just things that clicked in my head was even like cancel culture. It clicked in my head like this is similar to the behavior of cancel culture in the sense that cancel culture is no longer as positive as it was when it originated, which was like to go after clearly, undeniably problematic people and deal with them and remove them from their positions of power where they abuse their power to cause problems. Now we've moved to, we can tell you made a mistake, but because you made a mistake, forget everything else, all the positive that you do.
Yeah. Forget
that you're in a position of doing some kind of positive. We're not going to help you fix. We don't want you to fix. We just want to carry on this thing of bullying. We're going to bully you till you give up, till you are nobody, till you are somebody who wants to commit suicide. We want to bully you and put you in this position because you made this mistake.
Yep.
So yeah, and I always and I've used this term before. I say we need to change from cancel culture to a fixing culture. We need to fix people. You know, like if someone makes a mistake, which they will make, everyone is on social media, everyone is on the internet. So unfortunately, sometimes people go out and they use their platforms and make mistakes. I've probably made mistakes, even in this talk right now.
Yeah.
But I would appreciate if someone came to me and said, hey, this is the mistake you made. Do better next time.
Let's try it like this next time.
Let's try it like this, you know?
Yeah.
And I would take my perspective as saying, if someone came at me that way, I'd be like, yeah, actually, thank you. I appreciate that. Which is what I do a lot of the time. Like people think that I'm quiet on certain issues. When I talk directly to a person in the sense of I help them understand where they made the mistake. And I send it via DM, so it's not performative. It's not for the public to see me attacking this person, because it's not an attack. It's I want to address the issue.
Corrective behavior.
You know, and
making it aware.
Exactly. And I feel like it's things like that, that whole performative attacking of people, that is now causing kids out there who are on social media and they're watching the internet and they are fully observant to think, yes, this is how you deal with problems.
This is how you deal with problems,
Attack them in public so everyone can see.
Everybody must see. Take a video, make it go viral.
Because that will make them stop this bad behavior that we don't agree with.
Yeah.
When it's not the case, when actually, if you go I've felt that my response of talking to people directly and educating them is more effective than the whole attack and bullying and till they. And obviously, there are people who are just like beyond, like they just beyond. They are problematic, completely problematic. So my solution has always been unfollow them. I just unfollow and block. If I see that you're a problematic person that can't be solved or can't be fixed or can't be helped, it's not my place to fix you and help you if you don't want to listen. It's okay. I'll just move on and take my support of you away to somewhere else. But I don't need to force other people to do it in the process, because I'm actually giving you more attention if I say something and give you this platform. And then other people who think like you, who are problematic like you, are now going to find you and come to you and support you and drive you more into this problematic nature.
100%.
And and I'm glad we're having this conversation. I hope that I'm making sense to you, because it's just like something that
I can tell that it's something that's been bothering you for the longest time. Because I think my standpoint right now on this whole Lufuno thing is that people are going to forget that there is the other girl who is the one who was doing the act of bullying, who is sitting at home now and having to live with the fact that my actions drove somebody to kill themselves. She's living with that every single day. And my issue is that we're going to forget that. My issue is that, yes, we need justice for Olufono. But let's be proactive and let's find where we need to intervene in this whole bullying thing, and let's not just react. Let's not be quick to make a noise based on what has happened, and let's try to do it differently this time by being like, okay, so what is the psychology behind a bully, and how do we identify this, and how do we try and make sure, or how do we play our parts in saying that, okay, at least let this not happen on my watch, let this not happen to my family. Because again, I like what you said, that, you know, it's not our responsibility to go around fixing people, but also where you do have the platform, and when you are able to exercise your voice, do it, and do it correctly. And if you're not sure how to do it, then ask somebody who might be knowledgeable in that area, as to what is it that you can do, or how can you help. You know, because I was saying that, you know, I really, really wished that I could sit down with that girl and give her therapy, you know, because for me, my concern is, if she's behaving like this now, then what type of adult is she going to be? What type of mom is she going to be? What type of wife is she going to be? What type of sister? What is she going to teach people? Because already you can tell that we're dealing with somebody who doesn't know how to control their feelings and their emotions. So now we have a person who cannot control their feelings and their emotions and their frustration and their anger. And this person is now having to live with the fact that they have just done something that has driven somebody to kill themselves. So what do you think is going to happen to this concoction of things? Is it going to get better, or is it going to get worse? And what do we do then? What do we do then? You know, are we going to carry on making, like, overemphasizing things like, oh, stop bullying, and which I do. Like, if there's a march, I'm there. If there's something that needs to be reposted, I'm there. Stop bullying. But what are we going to do about this child? You know, what are we going to do about this child who obviously has control issues and all of these other things that I've mentioned, and who still has to grow up one day and be somebody's mom? What are they going to teach their children? You know what I mean?
Because it's just going to be a cycle that continues. It's just going to be
a ripple, exactly. So where are we? Where
need to stop it somewhere.
You know, so let's identify where to intervene, and let's focus our attention on that. There's a series that I'm going to start on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to call it Conscious Parenting, because I'm a strong believer of child psychology. I'm a strong believer of the fact that we can do so much better as a society and as a people if we focus our interventions on the family system, on the society, and on the child, because it's the children that are the future of our generation. And one of the things that I want to focus on in this series is, because I'm doing a lot of forensics right now at work, and most of the forensics that we're doing is cases committed by children. And I'm realizing that parents are teaching children right or wrong, but they are not teaching, or not all of them are teaching children how to act in accordance of knowing that this is right or wrong. Because that on its own, for me, I believe, would make the biggest difference. We all know that bullying is wrong. We were all taught that. There's always a teacher who's going to teach you that in life orientation. There's always a campaign. There's always this. But we know that it's right. We know that it's wrong. But how do we then act in accordance of that knowledge? How do we then teach ourselves? How do we then teach our children to act in accordance of knowing that, okay, this we can do, and this is why we can do it, and this we can't do, and this is why we can't do it. And if you do something that you can't do, these are the consequences of it. And this is how, you know, you have to deal with the consequences of it. You know, so I'm hoping that I will be able to actually follow through with this, and that it will teach somebody something, because we have to do better, man.
Yeah, no, we definitely have to do better. Like that's my like life slogan is we can all be better.
Yeah, we've been crying for too long. We've been complaining for too long.
Yeah.
Let's just do better.
So I'm gonna like fast track, because we've got like very little time left. And I'm gonna go through the questions. I have to go back. I might not get through all of them. There's a lot going on right now. But so I'm gonna start with the first one. Is there a taboo with opening up, as it seems a lot of us deem certain issues to be exclusively spiritual or demonic forces rather than mental?
is there a taboo to opening up? I don't think there's a taboo to opening up. I think again, most of these, that's why I place so much focus on systems and on society, because for you to think that something is a taboo means that somebody told you that you shouldn't do it. So why was that person telling you that this is a taboo, and why was that person telling you that you shouldn't do it? And so for me, it's a tricky question to answer, because I don't know, maybe if I can get a bit of backdrop, maybe.
I think the second half, where they talk about, like, as I think they talk from perspective of Africans. We always rather say it's a spiritual thing and demonic forces.
Yes. I think I get what he's saying now. Let's not forget where we come from as Africans, because as Africans, we're taught that you don't deal with things, you keep quiet about it, and you don't tell anybody about it. And if you speak about it, something bad is going to happen to you, or you're attracting something bad into your life. So I think that's a big thing that underlies certain things being spoken about, or certain things being perceived as taboo or not, because we are not talking people. Like, we are not people that talk about things or we address things. But let's change the narrative.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Another question, it's actually from your partner. How can we be aware as society for cases like Lufuno? I think you answered that question.
I think I did. I think I somewhat did. But another thing maybe that I can just add is that, a person doesn't wake up a bully out of nowhere. So most cases, just for the sake of being politically correct, you'll start identifying this behavior in very early childhood. So, and then that's where you as a parent now need to be aware that, okay, if my child can't play with the 2-year-olds from next door and they're constantly hitting them and stealing their toys, what makes you think that that child is not going to grow up with that behavior?
Yeah.
Type of vibe. You don't just wake up a bully, and you don't just sleep and it's gone. So it's noticeable in very early childhood, as with most mental health problems, and it normally develops and escalates as the person gets older. So that's why it's so important that the minute you sort of recognize or are aware of some abnormalities, or somebody doing something that they shouldn't be doing or that they don't normally do, that's when it's the best time to actually try and find out, okay, how do we deal with this? Let's, I don't know, speak to somebody, or take this child somebody somewhere, or stuff like that.
Yeah. I think a lot of the questions that are left, we've pretty much been answering as we've been talking. But I think someone pointing out, okay, let me just deal with this one that's just like, but I guess in certain cases, cancel culture has helped. BLM, example, BLM with police and racial discrimination. I think cancel culture beyond activism of social issues is where it becomes toxic. And, well, when I was, just to answer that question, or that point, when I was talking about the whole cancel culture, I did say it came from good beginnings.
Good intentions, yeah.
And if you look at where it started, it started from the whole removing people who are sexual predators in the entertainment industry and attacking them, and in terms of like removing their power to hurt other people and use their power to continuously be sexual predators. With the whole Me Too movement, it started there with the Me Too movement, and that was definitely positive. BLM, positive. I just feel like where it becomes toxic or becomes issues, not only when people hijack those movements and make it beyond the actual dealing with problematic people or the actual issue, and now being like, okay, performative. It needs to just be like a showcase of, oh, you used the wrong terminology. Yes, you're trying to help us, but you use the wrong terminology. So because you use the wrong terminology, we cancel you too.
Yeah.
It's like, now you nitpicking on things which are, yes, an issue, but you have an opportunity to fix it and address someone in a positive way and say, oh, sorry, you made a mistake here. This is actually
like this,
the correct way of saying it, or the correct way of dealing with it. And if you deal with it in a positive way, because you can still correct people in a positive way.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to feel like an attack. Someone can feel like, oh, thank you for enlightening me,
Yeah.
And
100%.
yes, some people don't want to listen, and some people are, like I said, the best way to deal with them is stop giving them the platform.
Yeah. And
So
balance, you know. Sorry to cut you.
yeah, no, I totally appreciate that, because we're gonna wrap it up now.
Yeah.
I really appreciate this talk. It did help a lot in terms of like my understanding, and I hope people listening out there. I would encourage people who are still here in the chat, follow Nqobileh on her platform, and follow you on YouTube. Can you just like share like your YouTube channels and your other
Yes.
platforms that they can follow you on?
Everything is at Nqobileh.M. YouTube, Nqobileh, Nqobileh .m. So that's just me everywhere. Wherever you look for Nqobileh.M, mental health stuff, that's where you'll find me. And my YouTube link
Amazing.
is on my Instagram bio thingy. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you so much. I really
you so
appreciate you. And I'm going to close this thing off. I'm creating this now. This is something that's going to be in all episodes. But I want you to give us one key message that you'd like to share before we leave.
Let's be aware. Let's listen. Listen, be aware. If you've been following this whole conversation, you'll understand why I'm saying that. So yeah, just be more aware, be more intentional, and listen.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you for the positive feedback from everybody. You guys are so, I was nervous. I always am. But you guys
You're
are
amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this.
No problem. Really appreciate you.
No
cool.
Problem. Have a good day.
With that,
Bye.
You have a great day too. Bye.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Cool. Thank you, everybody, for watching. That was an amazing first episode. I will be hosting more of these every like 2 days, 2 or 3 days, because there's so many extraordinary people out there that I know. Like, there's just like too many. So I'd love for you guys to meet them and talk and just hear what they have to say. I'll be sharing this on all my platforms, YouTube. Just tag whoever you think is amazing. Tag them in my post anywhere. Just let me know. If someone is amazing to you or extraordinary, I can check them out, follow them, and get to know who they are. And I could have a conversation with them like this one day, hopefully, and help society move forward, because it's about moving society forward and everyone being better. With that said, signing out. Much appreciated to everybody that joined. See you guys in the next one on episode 2. Bye.